Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Tonight I'm going to be sharing about some of my fourth grade lessons from the last week. This week, sort of bleeding into what I have to teach next week. And I'm going to share sort of my lesson plans, but just know that this is something that I do, and I take the lesson and sort of look at it in a variety of different ways. And you can take any piece of it, or you can use sort of the progression I'm using. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to use this lesson, and I'm focusing on the 12 days of Christmas in this lesson to sort of share my process for that and how I teach it and talk about some of the history and all the things that go with that. I'm going to share several different resources, and there will be links to all those things on the links page. So if you don't know what that is, on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, I have a whole page dedicated to any links or things I talk about in these videos. So on that page today will be the links for the resources I use, including the freebie I'm going to talk about at the end. Sort of at the end of the progression of lessons. That's coming up. If you can't find those links, you can always just click the bottom of the wherever it is you're watching or listening. There should be a direct link. Or you can go to my website, makemomentsmatter.org, and click the video tab, and it should be there, a little drop down. Okay, so also, if you are interested in continuing learning, talking, sharing, and want to be part of a larger group, I always know that it's great to always talk to more music teachers. There's a Facebook group, Every Moment Matters, Music Education Community. Come join us, talk. It'd be great to meet more people and learn together. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the 12 Days of Christmas, how I teach that, sort of the process of that. I do that in fourth grade just because it somehow works just sort of perfectly in that grade for me and the progression that I have. So my fourth grade, in the last couple of years, my fourth graders have done some sort of winter musical in November. My fifth graders do one in December. And so just the way the progression works, and my third graders learn Nutcracker and blah, blah, blah. It just always seems to work out right that this song hits in the fourth grade. But I know that everyone's different, does things in different ways. So again, as always, feel free to take anything I talk about and use it, change it, do whatever you want in different ways. Basically, when I teach this song, I first sit down and I say, I have a song that you might know. Let me just play a part of it. And I sit down at the piano. I like playing the piano. And some kids immediately get it and some kids don't, and that's fine. Just again, for context, in the 6 years they have me, K through 6, they're going to learn a variety of songs, and around this time of year, they may learn a Christmas song, a song about Las Posadas, a Hanukkah song, a song that's just winter related. Every grade is a little bit different. In this particular year, we learned this Christmas song, and but we compare it to other things because I don't want to just center Christmas in my classroom. I want to talk about a lot of the things that happen in December. And in fact, that's one of the first things that comes up. We talk about the song. We talk about what kids know about the song. And I say, well, I'm so glad you know some things. Let's talk a little bit about the history. And I'll show you sort of the visual that I use with kids. This is one that I created many, many years ago. It's part of the favorite folk song or favorite carol series that I used over the last couple of years. So let me see if I can flip my iPad or my phone to show you. Ooh, okay, that's sort of big. Let me see if I can zoom this down. Sorry, technology. It always works exactly the way you want. No, it does not. Okay, let me see if I can share that with you, Facebook, so y'all can see sort of what I'm talking about. Okay, so in my classroom, I love to give context about songs. Anytime I'm talking about a song, I like to give a little bit of history and explanation, especially if it's an older song or maybe one that has vocabulary, words that they may not know. So, for example, in this song, we talk about how it's a carol. What does that exactly mean? It just means it's a festive song. It has a seasonal subject. Like you wouldn't sing a song, outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you who. You wouldn't sing that in July. I mean, I guess unless you live in the Southern Hemisphere, in which case maybe you would. I don't know. But we talk about what a carol is, give a little bit of context for that. We talk about how this song we think comes from either France or the UK, but it's such an old song it's sort of hard to tell. It was first written down in 1774, but it can sort of be traced back, people think, until about the 1200s. And so that means it's about 900 years old, give or take. And so we talk about that. We talk about what exactly that means. Now, this what you're seeing right now is like a PDF version, but I have this as a PowerPoint too. And so I sort of actually move around this slide order. So I talk about, the 12 days, and then I say, when do you think the 12 days start? Like, when does that happen? And kids have lots of various guesses and sorts of things. A lot of kids think that it's the days that lead up to Christmas. And that makes sense based on like what they hear advertising and thinking about leading up to the day. We talk about how, 900 years ago when this song first came out, really they were following a different calendar. They didn't just have one huge day that they celebrated. They actually celebrated it for 12 days starting on the 25th of December. We talk a little bit about that, how long it lasts. It lasts into the new year. And I do talk about how, on the 6th of January, some people celebrate this thing called Epiphany, which is like when you move on to a new season. And actually there's this very not famous, but there's this really cool folk song from Appalachia in the United States called Breaking Up Christmas, that they sing on January 6th. So like sort of the end of the Christmas season. So we talk about that, and then we talk about, what is it that they're getting instead of, well, and actually when we talk about this, we compare it to Hanukkah, to Kwanzaa, to some of those holidays that are celebrated for multiple days. Why did it, how is it similar? How is it different? I wonder why it changed. It's something that'd be interesting to look up. But anyway, we talk a little bit about that, the 12 days. Then we talk about what it is you're getting on each day. So instead of giving lots and lots of gifts on one day, you get smaller gifts on each day. And so in the song, we talk about, some of the things you might have seen, some of the birds. I love showing this picture because they know some of them, but maybe not all of them. And then I say, but you know what? The thing is that the song has changed a lot in the last 900 years. Maybe different people sing it different ways. So here are some of the, popular things that have happened over those many years. Here are some of the things that people have sung in that time frame. And so they love this because they love to sort of see what has come up. So on day one, a partridge in a pear tree, one goldy ring, a part of a juniper tree, a parrot on a pear tree, four calling birds, four collie birds, four colored birds, four corally birds, four canary birds, four coffee bowls. They love that one. So it's fun to sort of show them like, things have changed. The way people have done it over the years has changed. It's not always been the same, and not always in the same order either. Things have changed a lot. And then, so we talk about that. And another fun thing to share with them is, if you think about it's not just one day, one thing per day. It's not just 2 turtle doves on the second day and the second day only. If you think about it like, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge. So it's like on each day, on the first day you get a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge. And it adds up. So by the time you're done, you have 12 partridges, 22 turtle doves, 30 French hens, 36 collie birds, 40 golden rings, 42 laying geese, 42 swimming swans, 40 milkmaids, 36 drummers, 30 pipers, 22 dancing ladies, and 12 leaping lords. That's 364 gifts, one for each day of the year, minus one day. Kids think that is hilarious. They like the idea of that. They like learning about the different history, things like that. And so I take the time to talk through some of that process, some of those things to help sort of give more context to the song. Because why the 12 days? What's the point of that? I think it's really cool to be able to say like, when this song was first written, when people first started singing this song many, many hundreds of years ago, this was their process. This is how the tradition was. This is why it's different, And it's really fun to connect that to the 8 days of Hanukkah or 7 days of Kwanzaa or whatever, to talk about those multi-day holidays and give a little more context. Then we jump ahead and we actually sing the song. And when my kids sing the song, the first time we do it, I say, okay, great, but we're going to do a different version of the song because, the song that we know, we're going to use the most common words, but let me just show you sort of what you're going to see. So let me see it again. Let's hope that my technology works. It always works. It never works when I want it to. So, okay, so here is the 12 days. And what I say to my kids is, okay, so we're going to, here's the preamble pages. Okay, so the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, and then I click through, and I'm like, this is a partridge. It's not in a pear tree, but that's what it actually looks like. So this version has actual photos from the many different days, and it goes through. It's cumulative, just like the song is. So as you're clicking through, you get, on the 4th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. So we actually sing through the different 12 days. I always have one kid be like my clicker. Either they go and sit at the computer and click through, or I give them like my actual like PowerPoint clicker. I let them click through. And they're in charge. And then the kids love this. They love seeing the pictures. They love seeing the actual things because, again, this might be a well-ish known song, but knowing exactly what those things are maybe isn't so common. So we go through, we make it through. And this resource, it has actual pictures of things, right? But also, let me see if I can pull it up. There's a version of this. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So this resource that I made, it has real pictures, and then it also has, let me see if I can pull it up here. It has a version with clip art too. Let me see, yeah. So it'll do the 12 days, it'll do it all with clip art too. Drummers, pipers, Lord's Leaping, Ladies Dance. So you could do either one you want, but I like being able to have the actual pictures of the actual things. One more thing that this version has, if you run it through PowerPoint, it doesn't work if you try and run this through Google Slides or other things, but it has actual sounds of those different things. So the partridge sounds like this. And kids actually surprisingly really like to hear this. Some of them, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that, like the turtle doves. A lot of them are like, oh, I know what that is. I'm not sure if you can hear this through my microphones. Maybe you can. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's the turtle doves. My favorite is, then we get to the blackbird. Okay, turtle doves, I get enough. So that's what a blackbird is. A collie bird was a word for like a blackbird. Okay, they also love when I get to like the golden rings and I've like cheated. It's just the ring like hitting the ground. Or when you get to the leaping lords, they feel like that's cheating too. Okay, but my favorite is when we get to the milkmaids. And that's the sound of the milk hitting the pan. So it's fun for kids to be able to like hear this song or learn this song with actual pictures and actual like examples of what those things are. And so I try and use that version when I'm teaching the very first day to like give them an example. And then there's a video I show of, it's from like a church a couple years ago. It went viral in the teacher groups, but I'll post a link to it again, of like 2 guys where they add in an action for each one, where they like do a little dance or a little action for each verse. And it's fun in that moment to talk about, well, like these guys, they came up dance, but they didn't realize this song, it's a special kind of song. We say it's a cumulative song. And what does that mean? It means that every time you don't just sing something new, you sing something new and you sing all the things that came before. If it was not a cumulative song, it would sound like this. On the 1st day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the 2nd day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves. On the 3rd day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens. And that's what it would be if it were not a cumulative song, but it is a cumulative song. That means it keeps adding in the things that you did before. So 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. It just keeps adding those things back in. And kids like that. And so then it's really cool to see the visual when I show the video of the 2 guys dancing, because then they have to keep doing actions for all the things that they've done before. And I say, like, maybe they should have made a different choice about the action they chose, knowing that it's cumulative. Like, they weren't thinking that it's a cumulative song. And if it were not a cumulative song, they could have done those really sort of intricate actions, no problem. But when you have to keep performing it and it's cumulative, you have to keep doing the things before, you maybe shouldn't choose things that are quite so intricate. And that's a lot to pack into one day, but we pack all that in. We've hit some context and history about the song. We've talked about some of those vocabulary and high frequency words that are a little bit trickier, maybe not as common for them to know. We've sung through the song with actual pictures of the animals and the things that show up in the 12 days. And then we saw that quick video of the 2 guys doing the dance moves for each verse. So then when they come back the next time, I say, you remember last time we watched that video Oh, we learned about the 12 days. We watched that video of the two guys dancing, one move for each of the 12 days. Well, guess what? We're going to do the same thing, except we are going to be smarter and more strategic about it. Instead of us having to like redo all the moves because it's cumulative, what we're going to do is we're going to break it up. And so basically I can have, depending on my class size, I can have about a duet for each of the days, except for like 3 or 4. And so what I say is I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes. You have to come up with an action that is inspired by or matches in some way the words in your verse. And then when we sing it, you will get to do your movement. So like if you were the 7 swans a swimming, maybe you go like, you know, you're like swimming, or you do some sort of swimming action, right? You get to choose what that is. You and your partner have to decide together. If you want to do some sort of combo action where like, I don't know, you know, 5 golden rings where one person goes like ring and someone's like puts it on. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Or you want to do like 5 and have that person do a ring around you. Whatever you want to do, it's your choice, you know. But remember, it's a cumulative song, so you have to do it more than once. You have to do it maybe many times. So think about that. So I give them a little time to work. And then again, because I've separated it out, it means that not one kid or all of us are doing all the things. It means that you can sort of separate out and kids can get creative and have a lot of fun with that. When we sing it, though, we have to add in a pause after each verse. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 swans a-swimming. They do it. 6 geese a-laying. They do it. 5 golden rings. They do it. 4 calling birds. 3 French hens. Because by the time you're done, you can sometimes do it without those breaks. But when it's like a new verse and you're introducing the new action, they need a minute to show that off. So it feels a little bit awkward and stilted, but I cannot tell you how many times kids are like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Like they enjoy it. So it's worth doing and trying and sharing if you're interested in that. And I just sit at the piano. You maybe wouldn't have to do that, or you could do an accompaniment some other way, but I'm comfortable at piano, and that's fun for me, and it gets me out of the way and sort of decentered from the activity. It's all centered in the kids. So I play, they sing, we go through. On that same day, if there's time left, again, it depends, because some kids take longer to come up with actions. Sometimes the retelling of the song takes a little longer. At the end, I have a video. Well, there are a couple of videos I've used in the past few years. One is the Muppets singing with John Denver. And their version of that is very funny. You can find it on YouTube. I'll put it on the links page. But what's even more fun is then several years ago, someone took that video, or they took that song of the Muppets singing with John Denver, and they synced their house lights with it. So like, you know, those houses that like they have a backing track or whatever, and they, you know, the lights flash along with the song. Well, they do that now with the 12 days, and the lights are also cumulative. So like the first time it's just a Christmas tree, and then the second time is a tree and some bulbs, and then a tree and bulbs and a star, and you know, like it keeps adding. So it's really fun to share with kids. And if we have time, I'll share that with them in the end. And then the 3rd day, maybe 4th day, depending on how it goes, is when kids come in and I say, wow, it's, you know, remember what are some of the things in the days and whatever. And we talk about, when we explain what the, you know, why are they getting birds or whatever. Well, 900 years ago when the song was first popular, first written, some of those gifts would be really smart or maybe practical, right? Like giving a hen is a great gift because the hen can give you eggs, or eventually you might eat some chicken. I don't know, you know, so like thinking about the gifts that are given and what does that mean. So like talking through some of those gifts, but we wouldn't want those things today, right? So like if it were now, what were some things that maybe you would give for one of the days? Remember, you don't want to give like an Xbox on every day. So like maybe save that for like the last day or, you know, something, I don't know. But like what's something you might give? Okay, so bags of Doritos, or Poppets, or I don't know, you know, what are some of the, so kids come up with some ideas. We sort of brainstorm ideas of what they could do, and then we just talk through that. Okay, what if it weren't the 12 days of Christmas? What if it were the 12 days of vacation? What are some things from vacation? And we sit through and we talk through. I even make a list on the whiteboard. I write out this. Okay, what if it were not the 12 days of vacation? What if it were the 12 days of, what, the lunchroom? The 12 days of the lunchroom. What could we put down? What are some things that we could put on that list? And we sort of brainstorm and talk through what you might put there. And then I say, great, guess what? You just did 3 great examples. We came up with so many cool ideas. Now you got to come up with your own. Because in a second, you in a small group are going to get to come up with your very own 12 days, and you get to decide all the things. Now, it doesn't have to be the 12 days of Christmas. It could be the 12 days of Halloween. It could be the 12 days of football. It could be the 12 days of gaming, Pokemon, whatever you want. You get to decide. Or maybe it's not even 12 days. Maybe it's the 12 hours of school. On the first hour of 4th grade, my teacher said to me, maybe it's not even gave to me. Maybe it's said to me. Maybe it's tasks. On the first hour of chores, my parents said to me, go and clean the deck. I don't know, whatever the chores is, right? So like kids get to sort of choose. So I say, okay, so great. So what you're going to do, and I talk through this process. You're going to get one of these papers. And by the way, this is free. If you want it, you can download it. I put a link on the links page. What you're going to do first, most important, put your name on it. Because we might not get done today, and so if you need to get this paper back, I need to know who it goes to. So first, put your name on it. And then you have to decide your theme. Do you want it to be the 12 days of vacation, of the lunchroom, of football, basketball? Do you want it to be the 12 days of, snack foods? Whatever, right? You got to choose the theme, and then you got to decide who's giving you the things or who's telling you the things. So that's like most important. And then ignore the rest and flip over the paper. Those are the first thing. Name, theme, who's giving the stuff to you, and then ignore these boxes and flip over the paper. And then I want you to take 4 or 5 minutes and write out as many things as you can think of that fit with that theme. And let me tell you, the kids 2 days ago, they didn't listen. They just went straight to the boxes. Why are the boxes bad? They're not bad. But if you start to just think about the boxes and where things go on the first day, and you start singing your examples from the first, it gives you writer's block. You can't come up with all the things that you need. And so honestly, trust me. This is the process. Come up with your theme and then ignore the boxes for just a minute and just list out literally as many things as you can. Let's say football. Okay. Coach, pads, football field, the football, let's see, mouth guard, what else? Mascot, okay, stadium, okay, what else could it be? Trophies, right? Anything related to that thing, literally put anything you could think of. And then once you have a nice big list, at least 12, maybe 15, maybe 20 things, whatever, a nice big list, then you can flip it over. Because also, if you start writing in on like day 1, day 2, day 3, and then you get to day 10 and you're like, that was an amazing thing, but it would work better on day 3. Well, then you got to rearrange and redo. So instead of doing that, make your big list and then put it in. So that's what I do. I give, and then I let kids go. Groups of about 2, 3, maybe 4 kids in a group. I like to do 2 or 3. When it gets up to 4 or plus, 4 plus, 5, 6 gets rowdy. So I never really do more than 4 in a group if I can help it. But 2 or 3 kids is great on this one. They go through, they come up with their ideas. And then once they do have their big list, I'll stop them in the middle of working and I'll say, okay, this is great. Some people are already putting things on their days. Remember, you have to think about how it's going to fit in the song because you're going to sing it. You have to think about how it's going to fit in the song. So if you're like, chips, do the days of the hours of snack foods, right? Okay. 2 chips. Sounds weird. So, but if your idea was chips, how can you make it fit? 2 chips. 2 bags of chips. Or chips and salsa. Or chips and dip. Or, right, you can rethink what you're doing. It's the same with you do the days of the zoo. 2 snakes. It's weird. If you think our original song is 2 snakes a-slithering, that would work better than... Or 2 snakes a biting, or 2 snakes a wriggling, or whatever. It would work better than 2 snakes. So I let them work through. I let them brainstorm, come up with ideas. When I see 1 or 2 groups of putting things then on the front, I stop them and I say, okay, this is one. You may have to modify the things a little bit. It is so much fun. I cannot tell you how interesting this becomes because kids, it's nice then they can take the idea and run with it and come up with new things. So here are some actual examples from my class. This is the kids who finished today. And usually this takes 2 days, because I have half-hour lessons. Usually this takes 2 days, because you sort of remind them, sing through, think through the original, and then talk through the process, and then they need time to work. They could maybe get it all down on paper, but you would not have time to share out in class if you wanted to do that in just 1 half hour. So I had the first, on the days of football my coach gave to me. On the day of Burger King, my parents said to me, okay, I had problems. They coached me. They're like, it's the days of Burger King. Look at our days. And I was like, cool. So, you know, like, obviously as they're working, I'm like walking around and trying to help. And like, you know, because some of these groups, like this one's a great example. First day of Burger King, my parents, they didn't give to me. They said to me, because then they go through and like, go get a Coke, then eat your food. Then you can go to the playground. It's like they're processing through like, what do you do as you're eating? On the first hour of Burger King, my parents said to me, first then they said, get a Big Mac. I was like, that is McDonald's. I saw Burger King. Anyway, they mix anyway, it was fine. But that was a cool one, actually. Days of soccer, my coach said to me. Days of gaming, a gamer gave to me. That was in the weeds for me. Days of gymnastics, the coach gave to me. Days of volleyball, the coach said to me. Days of music class, Mr. Rao gave to me. That one was very fun. 2 noisy slapsticks. They had some really good. 8 blue recorders. Anyway, hilarious. But the things that kids come up with are really, really fascinating and cool and interesting and fun to play around with. So it just takes a little bit of time, and it's worth processing through, like how to come up with a good answer and how to modify the song. And then when my kids shared, I actually had them stand up and I was like, it's day 12. Sing through your list from day 12 only. Don't start on day 1. Good Lord. Then we'd be here 5 more days. Start on day 12. Sing us as if you've sung everything else. And now it's day 12. So we can just hear the rundown. Okay, this worksheet, if you want it, it's free. I linked it on the links page. It's really not so much a worksheet as like an organizer, like a graphic. It's a graphic organizer, a way for kids to sort of process through what they're thinking, and it really does help them. This top with a sentence stem that says, on the first day of blank, my blank gave to me, is really helpful. And then the grid below, I don't want them to write out every single sentence. I want them to think about, okay, if I'm processing it, what would it look like? I can have just first and box, second and box, third and box. They don't need me to write out literally everything. It's fine to just have those boxes there. I've had kids be very successful with just that. That's in the downloads if you want, on the links page if you want. Okay, that's how I do the process of the 12 days. It starts with giving history and context, then it goes with real animal pictures. We talk through that, all of that. We talk about how it's cumulative. I show them lots and lots and lots of examples and different ways you can play around with it. But I just love this lesson and this song because it starts out with one song and then becomes so much more. There's so many cool things you can do with it. And kids love the opportunity to take that idea, that specific song, and like play with it in lots of different ways and make it their own. And there's a lot of ownership that comes in this lesson, so it's super, super fun to play with. Okay, well, this was so much fun to share with y'all about this lesson. I will not be back next week because, while I am teaching next Monday, many people are not, and it's almost break. So I will see y'all again after the winter break. I will come back in January for more lessons and ideas. As always, if you have questions or comments or whatever, please add those in the comments section or shoot me an email. It would be great to connect. But I hope you got some ideas tonight. And if you don't have to do it my exact way. Take pieces, take bits, take things that you like, and use that for yourself in your classroom. All right, well, thanks so much, everyone. Have a really great night. Bye, everyone.